Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can also find us on television, Channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. You can also find us on all the social media sites. It's been a long time, Don, since Facebook has kicked me off and YouTube hasn't kicked me off. Now I've received warnings, but they haven't kicked me off. So that's been pretty good. We're going to have some announcements coming up after the first of the year, some more ways you will be able to find us on television. And we're really excited about that as well. I have with me a very special friend. His name is Attorney Don Brown, and attorney is his first name, Don Brown. And he's also an author and a speaker and world renowned. Thank you so much. Oh, and also he has a couple of movies, right?
Well, we've had one come out based on one of our books movie's called Fallen Angel, and it's based on the book Extortion 17 about the shoot down of a Army helicopter in Afghanistan in 2011. So we have one that's been produced and one that's in pre-production. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a crazy kind of a world out there. I talked to you after the election, and we were both I think Trump won 4 years ago, but anyway, I mean, there is no denying it. I mean, it's a landslide.
Zero doubt in my mind, that Trump won 4 years ago. This is the third time he's won. But the timing is even better now than it would have been 4 years ago because he has such a powerful mandate now. Mm-hmm. And who would have thunk it? You got Bobby Kennedy on your team. You got Elon Musk on your team. Tulsi Gabbard switching over. Joe Manchin leaves the party. You have the mayor of Dallas leaving the Democrat Party. He's a much more formidable force to be reckoned with. They cheated him out of the election before. They tried to prosecute him. And, it's interesting because 4 years ago they were able to use COVID as their cover. They were able to do a lot of cheating under the cover of COVID and all these unconstitutional emergency declarations. This time they tried. They tried again. Their strategy was lawfare, and it's backfired on them. I saw today that Fani Willis has been removed from the case in Georgia about a year too late by the Georgia appeals court. But they tried, it failed, and he's stronger than ever. And you got to be careful what you try, Democrats. And so now you're going to have quite the force to deal with as we come up here in just about another month or so. Yeah.
Now, isn't the mayor of New York, is he kind of siding with Trump a little bit? It looks like it to me.
Yeah. Well, Eric Adams, of course, was a former New York City police officer, and actually years ago was once a Republican and switched over. I think it may have been a Republican when Giuliani was there. He switched over, became a Democrat, and became really agitated because of the Democrats are dropping so many illegal aliens there in New York, and the Biden administration was doing all that. And a year or so ago, Eric Adams, because of all the crime that was going on there in New York as a result of the illegal immigrants who were staying in some of the nicest places there on Broadway, they're commandeering these hotels and giving it to illegal aliens, he started to complain about it. And when he started to complain about it, at that point, Trump said, you better watch out. He's going to be indicted. Watch him. And yes, absolutely, because within just a few months of Adams complaining about the Democrats' illegal immigration policy, he gets indicted. And, it's one of these travel expense things. They will go after you for, the whole idea with these political prosecutions is that these financial crimes types of indictments are kind of like the soft underbelly. It's easy to find something that appears out of whack. So they're going after him, but he is now talking about cooperating. He had a meeting with Tom Homan. I saw it lasted an hour or so just a few days ago. And is going to, he's promised to crack down and to work with the Trump administration to try to clean up New York City. And who knows, maybe he will even switch parties. But the point of the matter is, Trump coming in now is coming with a much, much stronger hand than 4 years ago. What he's got Democrats wanting to work with him, even has Justin Trudeau going down to Mar-a-Lago, and Trump blows him off and said, hey, we're going to make you the 51st state, turn you into a governor. So it's really kind of amusing to watch, and it's a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Oh, it is. And I think, my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to go after anybody. He just wants to be successful and just, step over all these people who've tried to prosecute him and persecute him. it seems to me he just wants to be successful, and that's what successful people do.
Well, that's right. Whether or not they will go after anybody or not, I don't know. I would personally like to see some of these people prosecuted. I'd like to find a way to go after these criminal prosecutors because they basically attack our Constitution. And if they're not made to pay, they'll try it again. So he probably won't, as you said, but I hope Hanny Bonnie will get in there. And I'd like to see them investigate these Fannie Willis, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Jack Smith, all these criminal prosecutors for conspiracy against constitutional rights, which is a crime under the United States Code, and it involves two or more persons who conspire together to take away somebody's constitutional rights. They certainly have attacked the presidents. They've attacked others too. So I would personally like to see somebody put a steel boot up of the rear ends of these political prosecutors and all those. Also, these folks who are responsible for the January 6th Fedsurrection. We just saw within the last few days, the DOJ released a report that some 26 FBI agents had planted themselves in the crowd that day on January 6th. 23 out of the 26 apparently broke the law and were inciting that Fedsurrection. And I think all those people, you got to hold their feet to the fire. You can't let them get away with this type of thing. The deep state's got to come down. These three-letter agencies have to be defamed. Now is not the time, in my opinion, for us to take our foot off the pedal. We need to crush the neck of the Democrat Party. And just remember, and I'll shut up just in a second, but you know, rattlesnakes will go in the ground and hibernate in the winter. And these Democrats are like rattlesnakes and moccasins. They've gone in the ground right now, but they will slither their way back out. And we've got to crush them. You just can't let them survive. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean literally. I mean it figuratively. You've got to destroy the Democrat Party and the communist movement that has taken it over, or else they'll be right back, and we'll have a worse problem we had before once president's term's over.
Absolutely. You got to also destroy the eggs they lay, because those will come out too. Right. So, okay. So this is just, I have this, I'm afraid to totally 100% celebrate, because I know their game book. I know how the Democrats work. Is there a chance they could do something to mess it up for Trump? I mean, where he doesn't even come into office?
There is a chance. We're dealing with English-speaking communists. The Democrat Party is a criminal syndicate. Okay, so they have no respect for the rule of law. The lawfare stuff backfired on them, but you got to keep your eye on a couple of things. You know, they're trying to do this bird flu thing. I saw, for example, just today the first reported case of bird flu from the CDC occurred in southwestern Louisiana. So they're looking for an excuse for another quote unquote pandemic, looking for an excuse for lockdowns. They're looking for an excuse, to disrupt the economy. They would, if Trump does, they would love to dump, just a disaster on his hands as he steps in. So would it be that? Then you have this whole question about these drones. What's going on with these drones? Are they looking for nuclear material in New Jersey? As one theory is that Epoch Times and a couple of other papers, Epoch Times and Gateway Pundit, both reported that nuclear material had gone missing from a tractor trailer. So are they sniffers, or as Congressman McCall suggested today, are they foreign driven? Are they Chinese? We've been selling a lot of land to China near U.S. military bases. So the point of the matter is, they would like to saddle him and would saddle him with some sort of disaster if they can. So we're optimistic at the moment, but you cannot put anything past them. And I always hope for the best, but expect the worst for these Democrats.
I receive phone calls literally every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, asking, and it always sounds like a foreigner who is asking me if I'm going to sell my home. Would I be interested in selling my home? And it's always a different telephone number, and it appears local. I mean, it appears like an Alabama number. And I get these frequently. What's that all about?
Well, they've gotten sophisticated. They could be they could be anywhere in the world, but they're sophisticated enough to know that if they're calling you in Alabama, they know what your area code is, and they're sophisticated enough to have these fake numbers that pop up with a local area code. And you pick it up, you think that's cousin Charlie down the street there, or somebody I know has got to be in it, and you hear some sort of foreign accent. But no, they're buying, and I think we need legislation to prevent foreigners from buying land in the United States. I mean, enough is enough. And China's been buying lands in droves and buying land near U.S. military installations. So are these drones, in fact, being launched off this land that China's been launching, but been buying? Excuse me. We don't know the answer to that question. But all we know is that it's a time, it feels like a time that, yeah, Trump has won big. Things are going quite well. But again, a rattlesnake will slither back out of its hole. And we got a bunch of rattlesnakes, Democrat rattlesnakes, still out there.
Oh, yeah. What do you think is going to happen to the housing market?
That's a very, very good question. The housing market has been oversaturated and overpriced. A lot of it's going to depend, I think, on what happens with interest rates. Yeah, I mean, if interest rates remain high or creep even higher, the housing market could bust faster than you think. Interest rates come back down, the housing market might pick up again. But a lot of it is interest rate driven, and you have overpricing. You have a kind of a saturation of higher prices, and the housing market is due for a correction, I think. Anyway, the corrections are a part of economics. Prices go up, there'll be a pop, they'll come down, go up again, and pop and come down. It is due for a correction in terms of the prices, but your guess is as good as mine on that. And I think the short-term direction of interest rates will give you the short-term answer which way the housing market's going to go, at least in the short term.
Well, I think the criminals who are in office right now and who are trying to take over the United States, I'm not so sure they're after us, not after me anyway. I'm a lot older, and I'm not the wisest person on earth, but I've been around a little bit. And I think they're going after the younger folks. I think their goal is where the younger folks right now will never own a home.
Right.
They'll be renting. They'll not own anything. And that will slide right into what the communists thrive for.
Well, it was Khrushchev that said years ago that we'll take America without firing a shot. And you read the book, The Communist Manifesto, and some other writings, you'll understand that they have been proceeding on that playbook, and they want to grab the basic American institutions, certainly of education, religion, the media, all these institutions that they have such influence over, and infiltrate the institutions with leftist thinking, and make you think you don't need the American dream, you don't need a home, you're okay, with renting an apartment, renting a townhouse, living in government housing. Yes, of course, that is the ultimate goal. And you're right. I think that although some very good things happen in this election with younger people, voting for Trump, they certainly have been the principal target of the left in terms of the brainwashing program and indoctrination program. And you got guys that are 30, 35 years old living with their mom and dad still, not out, and ladies too, not out on the economy and the housing prices. You asked this question earlier, becoming so high that they're becoming unattainable. So I agree with your assessment on that, Don. I think that's who they're targeting primarily.
Well, you have to have cash. Cash is king. And if you're buying a house right now, the more of a down payment you can put down, the better. And if you can pay cash, you can actually wiggle with people just a little bit. We just, so we'll be moving to South Carolina next month. We're really excited about that. But just being at the right place at the right time, Phil and I, it's a huge house with a bunch of land on it. I made a ridiculous offer. And so my realtor said, "You're going to insult them with that offer." And I said, "What does it hurt to ask?" And so I couldn't believe it. They took it. I mean, it even shocked. I'm like Trump when he was voted the first time, when he became president. It was like, whoa. I was kind of like that with the house. I said, "Is it haunted or something? What's wrong with it?" And we looked and gave it a good, thorough looking at. And so anyway, but we lucked out. But what I've noticed, I still keep my eye on houses. I just always have, and real estate. And so what I'm seeing now is a third of the size we have is going up. I mean, it's ballooning. It's incredible.
Well, it's like
homes.
Inflation shrinkage. What you're getting is you're getting smaller packages for the same prices and higher prices. that's happened on the housing market. I mean, it really happened here in Charlotte. Not too long before you all left. There were builders in the 90s and 80s were building, nice houses on large lots of a half an acre to a full acre. And next thing you know, you get these builders coming down from New Jersey, and they're cramming houses on postage stamp lots. Everything's up beside each other, just like Chicago. You worry what happens if one of them catches fire. You have a row fire, and but you are seeing that in the housing market, and I think that's part of what we're going to be seeing more and more in the housing market as builders and developers, can charge more but shrink the size, and you're going to have cash to get in for the most part. That's exactly correct.
Well, we have a fabulous realtor, and she's done a lot of hard work for us, and I've asked for a lot. But you know me, I'm going to look for the best price possible.
Right.
But we grew up in a different era. We grew up, I watched my dad, buy real estate. One time we were riding down the road, he had bought 40 something acres of land. And so he was going to have a house built. So he stops the car. We almost all fell out of the car because he stopped it so fast. So he gets out of the car, and there's some men out at a house, and they're about to start tearing it down. He said, "Who owns this?" So this is what we saw growing up. So the owner comes out and he says, "What are you paying these men to tear down this house?" And he said, "Well, pretty bit." And he said, "What have you got in mind?" And Dad said, "What if I buy it for $150? Would you rather have $150, or would you rather pay somebody to tear this house down?" He goes, "How soon can you get it?" And he said, "Can you give me 24 hours? So Dad checks around. Back then it cost $5,000 to move it. Had to be cut in half, had to be cut in sections. And so that's how you and I grew up.
Right.
Watching our dads wheel and deal and do stuff like that. But we aren't seeing much of that anymore. And kids who are taught in school are not taught about debits and credits. They don't know they can make an extra house payment and just shave off like all kinds of interest off of their house payments.
Right.
That needs to be brought back into school again.
Absolutely. Well, the whole school system has been wrecked by federal control. The Department of Education was established in 1980, the last year of the Carter administration. Since that's happened, U.S. test scores, including math scores, have dropped. I did a lot of work talking on Common Core back when they were pushing it so hard. The whole goal of Common Core math was to lower the highest level of math in United States public schools to pre-calculus. So you're dumbing everything down. So the things you're talking about, the practical type of math where you got, you understand what compound interest can do for you and do against you. You don't get taught, you pay an extra payment, a couple of extra payments a year, and you cut, 5 to 10 years or whatever it might be off the length of the loan and save the money. We got to rethink what we're doing. So, but you're right. It is a different era. And a lot of it deals, I think, and going back to your point earlier about the target being the younger generation, they aren't taught to think the way we were taught to think. And we were taught you go for the American dream. You work hard, you try to buy a place, you try to save, and you can do it. Now, the institutional mentality is you depend on the government for it. Not independence from the government, but dependence on the government. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're battling, so to a large degree.
It's incredible. And where everybody gets a trophy, you and I grew up in the era, you wanted to be number one. Well, what's the point in being number one if everybody gets the same trophy you get?
There you go. Right. Exactly. I had a kid once that I knew his mom, and this kid was a debate champion at Charlotte Latin, an expensive school here. And but he was liberal as the day is long. One day I said, "Hey, how did you do in debate?" Did great. I said, "All right, how would you like it if they gave somebody else your trophy just because their sex or color of their skin? They didn't really win it, but they just took it from you." He started thinking, "What?" He said, "When it starts hitting where it hurts, then they start to understand." But you don't get anywhere. The rising tide floats all boats. You do not get anywhere when you give everybody the same trophy. You basically water down everything and de-incentivize everything. And again, that's part of the idea. If you de-incentivize a population, you don't have a bustling, growing, middle class has made this country since way back during even before World War I, going back to the 1890s, the first Industrial Revolution. And so you and I, you're doing a great job, John. We have got to make sure that the next generation understands what the possibilities and opportunities are there, because we're still in a battle. Trump has won, and we have now control of the Senate and the House, although too many rhinos still. But we have to do our part to engage the next generation so they understand what it is that was fought and bled for and died for, and what the opportunities are that this country certainly affords.
I was talking with a lady at a temp agency the other day, and she said it's amazing the number of parents who come with their son or daughter to a job interview. I said, are you kidding me? I would have died had my parents come on my job interview. I would have said, forget it. And then I would just have went another time, not let them know. There's no shame in it for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's just institutional thinking. It goes back to your original point, and
but I wouldn't hire anybody who came with their parents on a job interview. I would say, like, do your parents come with the deal too?
Or they're going to apply. They're going to apply too. Or all three of you apply for the job? And that's what I want to know. I guess maybe so, huh?
I don't know. But I will tell you this, and I've mentioned this before. You can put me in a room of 1,000 kids. I will pick out the homeschoolers. They are the brightest. They are the smartest. They're quick on answers. These kids are the ones who are going to carry it through.
I was talking to somebody earlier today about what's happened to the lack of affordability of insurance since Obamacare came along. And back before Obamacare, middle class people could buy Blue Cross, and small businesses could buy Blue Cross. Not anymore. Really the only way to the best insurance, unfortunately, is if you work for a big Fortune 500 company or work for the government, where they can afford to cover it. But I was making the point that what's needed in healthcare, aside from the elimination of Obamacare, is that you need to bust up these big healthcare carriers like Blue Cross, because you and I, we can go in our auto insurance. We got more options. We got State Farm, Farm Bureau, Allstate, Nationwide, USAA, whatever, and there's more competition. You come here to North Carolina, basically you got Blue Cross, and that's it. And but the point of the matter is that it's true with schools as well. To improve anything, you have to have more competition. You and I, if we were, you're in Alabama and I'm in the Charlotte area, and if we picked up the phone and called each other, and talked for 30 minutes on the phone, 40 years ago, that would cost us $50, long distance. Now here we are talking, and a lot of that. I was talking to friends in California every day. I talked to my son in Germany today. He's in Germany. We talked. It didn't cost me a dime, but that's because my bell was busted up because of antitrust. And things, and there's better productivity when there's more competition. And so when you go back to your example, with insurance, bust healthcare carries up and have more smaller companies, where there's AT&T being busted up, and now communication is so much cheaper. The same way it is with the schools. Schools need to be busted up. You don't need monolithic. I don't know what's wrong with me. You don't need monolithic fossils in education. What we need is multiple schools competing against one another, multiple school systems competing. Back to your point on homeschools. The homeschoolers who are taught well are head and shoulders above not just their public school counterparts, but against the most expensive private school competition as well. So we've got to change the way of thinking, and we've got to have more competition in education, which means you've got to eliminate the Department of Education. You've got to eliminate huge governmental school systems and narrow those things down so that you get better competition. Iron sharpeneth iron, as the Bible says, and competition. Going back to what I said earlier, the rising tide floats all boats. Competition makes everything better, and it makes things more affordable for us, which is exactly what the deep state doesn't want. They don't want competition. They want to have a monopoly and everybody under their thumb. But competition is about freedom, and you rise to the top. And even if you don't, win the race. A silver medal is better than a consolation prize. It helps everybody.
Absolutely, and I love competition. I think it's pretty cool. It keeps you on your toes. Absolutely.
Well, you're really burning your competition, Donna, with the way the show's going these days. So we're very, very proud of you.
You know why? Because I have the world's best guest. And I'm not joking. I mean it. You are an awesome guest. Let's go. Can you believe half the show is over? Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there.
Gotcha.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon, it's always a fun ride. I got my friend Don Brown with me right now. He's an attorney, he's an author, he's a speaker. How can folks find your books, by the way?
Thank you, Donna. Go to Don Brown Books, and you can find me there. DonBrownBooks.com is my author website. But just go on Amazon, type my name in, Don Brown, and everything will pop up, and so you can find me there and a couple of other places too. But appreciate the opportunity for the plug. Thank you.
Oh, no, always. Okay, so we've been talking about a few things that are happening in the world right now, and President Trump. But I have to tell you, I love J.D. Vance. He's one of us.
He is, and I'm telling you something. When President Trump came into office in 2017, elected in 2016, maybe he surprised himself, maybe he didn't, but he was learning the ropes. Didn't know he could trust. He's got a better gauge, I think, on who he can and cannot trust. And I'm telling you, while some of his first administration hires less than be desired, including the former senator from Alabama there, Jeff Sessions, as Attorney General, the former governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, as Vice President,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one thing. This time he's knocking it out of the ballpark. And J.D. Vance is the best. Let me just put it this way. I've been around a while. You've been around a while. I think J.D. Vance is the most exciting vice presidential pick that I've ever seen, ever. And the guy is not only brilliant, but he's also affable. He served the military. He's a brilliant guy, went to Yale Law School, an affable guy. And I think, you think about his performance. He just took Tim Walz to the cleaners in the vice presidential debate. But then there's that famous line with not Martha McCallum, Martha Raddatz, excuse me. I got a number of Marthas out there. Martha Raddatz, who, when JD was talking about the Aurora, Colorado apartment complex being, infiltrated by Venezuelan gangs, she says, let me stop you right there, Senator, because I know the facts. The police chief said these are isolated to a few. And JD says, do you hear yourself, Martha? It's okay to have Venezuelan gangs infiltrate apartment complexes, and somehow that's President Trump's fault, not the Democrat. That line is a line that really made him. You think about, you and I are students of politics. You think about Reagan's very famous "There you go again," comment, and you can just go right down the line. And when Trump debated Biden, of course, I don't think he knew what he said. That was iconic. But J.D. Vance really, in some ways, made himself. You can't help but like the guy. And he will go on hostile networks, and so will Trump. And they'll take on these people, and they will just hold their ground, and they don't let anybody walk over them. And I am excited about him becoming vice president. And I think that President Trump, knocked it out of the ballpark on that pick and on some other ones as well in his cabinet. So I'm really, really excited about that.
I am too. I just think the guy's every vice president we've ever had has just always seemed like a second banana. I mean, they just, it's like they try to find the dumbest person they can to be their VP pick. Like you said, he knocked this one out of the park. I see a huge career for him.
Yeah, and I think part of it is as President Trump saying that, look, I got 4 years. Who can and will carry the torch? And of course, I think I'm told that Don Jr. was involved in turning JD onto his dad, turning his dad on to JD, I should say. And so credit to Don Jr. for that. But I don't think you and I have talked about potential VP picks, and I remember going back a year or so, will it be Tim Scott? Will it be, the governor of, Kristi Noem? Could it be, who could it be? But JD Vance kind of came out of the blue. He just kind of came out of left field. He really wasn't on anybody's radar. I mean, people were speculating, Nikki Haley. You and I knew that would never happen, but people were speculating it anyway. And the names that were coming up, Burgum, the governor of Minnesota, came up. You had a number of names coming up, but he just came right out of the blue, out of nowhere. It's kind of like that's the president pulling a rabbit out of his hat. And this guy, Vance, is an intellectual. But he's an intellectual who can relate to people because of his background growing up. You grew up in Appalachia, you grew up poor, you know what it's like to struggle. And he's got a connection with people that most don't. I think about 2028 already. He's got to be absolutely certainly the front runner. And I won't take this opportunity to bash any other Republicans at the moment. There's nobody other than Trump himself that can come close that I can see. And he's going to be really effective vice president too. And I think Trump will rely upon him, and I think he'll take counsel from him. Certainly, with J.D. Vance, as a matter of fact, who tweeted just the other day, what I mentioned in another segment with you that just this week we got a report from the DOJ that 26 FBI agents were embedded and implanted on January 6th, and at least 23 of those committed crimes, one sort or the other. And J.D. Vance tweeted that. He said, who's the conspiracy theorist now? You wouldn't have Pence doing that. You wouldn't have most Republicans do that. But J.D. Vance has got a lot of Trump in him. He's out there, and he will get in your face with it. He does it a little bit different way than Trump does it, but he's very highly effective. And I just commend the president for this pick.
Well, and he doesn't try to be like Trump. He's being himself.
Right.
And both of them have strengths in their own ways.
Right. It reminds me of my grandmama, love her, miss her, Grandma Hardison. She had many sayings. You take one of the sayings that she gave me that I'll share with you. She said that the best note in the chromatic scale is be natural. And both Trump and J.D. Vance are both natural to who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Most politicians are plastic. You can see them calculating what they're going to want to say. You can tell they're not genuine, but these guys, both of them are, and JD is also as well. And I just can't think of a better pick that Trump could have come up with for his vice president. And so we were very, very fortunate. We're going to have a great president and a great VP coming up this time.
Let's pretend I'm still working with GTE, and let's just say I was corporate with them. I was their person who handled the government and corporate accounts. So let's just say I just walked up to my boss one day and said, I want a $60,000 a year raise. What do you think he would have said? He would have laughed me out of his office and shut the door on the way out.
Right.
So that's what Congress was trying to do. So, okay, so folks who are drawing Social Security are doing good. I don't think you're getting a 2% raise this year. But then you have people in Congress who want an extra, they want $60,000 more dollars with the shape we're in right now.
It's Congress that has given us a $36 trillion national debt.
Yeah.
$37 trillion. And they want to raise. And look, this thing, they tried this continuing resolution scam to fund the government with basically a credit card between now and March, and threw a bunch of woke green energy stuff in there, a lot of foolish experimentation in there, a lot of I saw that there was like money for gay civic centers, all kinds of crazy woke stuff that Speaker Johnson was going to sign off on. And fortunately, Trump and Trump, I should say, Elon torpedoed that. They're pulling it off. They got to go back to work. But a $60,000 raise when all you've done is run the national debt up, and that is at the feet of Congress. And there seems to be nothing but a continued obsession with pork, and nothing but an obsession with continuing to drive the national debt up. And no, they don't deserve a raise. They ought to. Matter of fact, you can't balance the budget. You shouldn't be able to serve. If Congress doesn't balance the budget, you ought to start over. And until you get it right, it shouldn't even be paid. Unless you get the budget balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to balance our household budgets. Donna, some of us are better at it than others. You're probably much better than I am. But we got to balance our.
I hold the dime until it screams.
Hold it till it screams. Just hang on. Exactly. And but that's one of the biggest disappointments about what we're seeing. We've talked about this. As far as I'm concerned, the blame will be on the Republicans. The government should shut it down. I mean, look, most of the spending is mandatory anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time there's been a so-called shutdown, I joke around. I've been able to get my Egg McMuffin from McDonald's next morning, even if the government is quote unquote shut it down. We want to put some rope around a national park. Say the national park's closed. I don't care. Shut it down. The government is not God, and unfortunately, even though we've got a slim, I say we Republicans have a slim. You and I are we're constitutional conservatives who may be registered Republicans, but conservatives have a very narrow majority in the House of Representatives. But so Paul Johnson here, he said before he became Speaker that he would not allocate money to Ukraine unless and until the border was secure. Goes into a SCIF, secured communications facility with three-letter agent people, comes back out, three-letter agency guys, comes back out. Next thing you know, he's throwing money at Ukraine without securing the border. What happened there? We have got to rid ourselves of these rhinos in the Republican Party. They got to go.
Well, America has to come first.
That's
have
exactly right.
to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And they're not doing that. It was Dwight Eisenhower, who, in my opinion, was the greatest president, the greatest general in American history, aside from George Washington himself. the leader of the great Allied invasion at Normandy, led the invasion of Sicily, commander of the European theater, warned the whole country in his last speech as president against the military-industrial complex. And we have Democrats and Republicans who, despite that, want endless wars. And, I'm sympathetic to the people of Ukraine, but their president is a dictator, just like Putin's a dictator. Putin may be worse than Zelensky, excuse me. I have not been drinking other than coffee.
I'm going to ask.
Yeah, he may be worse than Zelensky, but they're both tyrannical dictators at the end of the day. And we, it isn't like it was in the 1960s when we had tons of money to waste in Vietnam, which never should have happened.
Right.
It's now the 2020s, and we have a $36 trillion national debt. We can't afford to be. We've thrown so much money at Ukraine that at times the U.S. Army didn't even have enough ammunition for practice. We've thrown so much money at Ukraine that we have still North Carolinians up in the mountains.
It makes me mad.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And there's already money allocated that we could pull out immediately for those folks, and it's not happening. And so it has to be America first. And we have to redefine the Republican Party into America first, not Ukraine first, not global climate change first, none of this, not woke first, not DEI, or as American thinker calls it, DIE, none of that first. It's got to be America first. And it's really, really frustrating to see what they've done. But we got to continue, as I've said earlier, to put the pedal to the metal. We can't just rest on our laurels now that President Trump appears to be headed for an inauguration here on January the 20th. We can't get fat and happy. We've got to put the pedal to the metal and finish the job of destroying the philosophy of this corrupt Democrat Party.
Well, I know he is. I know Trump is smart enough to know what the playbook is on the Democrats.
Right.
He knows how they play games. I'm pretty sure he's ready, just in case something happens.
Sure. Well, I saw Van Jones throw his hands up. Van Jones, the black commentator for CNN, he was talking to another liberal topic head was saying, how does this happen? How does somebody like him get elected? And they were exasperated because they got Trump derangement syndrome. Van Jones said, stop it. The fact of the matter is, he's smarter than me. He's smarter than you. He's weathered all this. He's gotten elected. He's got his best friend in the world, the richest man in the world, who knew nothing about politics. He's got Bobby Kennedy, the most prominent Kennedy, on his side. He's pulling everything together. He's smarter than the rest of us. And they can't, some of them are beginning to understand it, which is why they're making pilgrimages to Mar-a-Lago like they are. I mean, look, you had Joe Scarborough and Mika making a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago. You've got Justin Trudeau making a pilgrimage down there. They are beginning to see what you and I have known, what they're really up. A few of us have seen it, and I've shared with you. I've got some buddies of mine that were on one of these text chains, on your cell phone, and the phone goes ding, ding, ding. It's for your buddies texting you. I got one guy on there who's a big DeSantis guy, and still kind of licking his chops about what happened. I said, listen, dude, I told him from the very beginning, a year and a half ago, Trump is going to wipe the floor with all of his opponents, including DeSantis, who's done a good job as governor, by the way. So I'm not knocking DeSantis, but people are seeing what you and I have seen for some time. And that is, this guy, Donald Trump, is a transformational figure in American history. He's a transformational president. And when you think, and I'm kind of a student of American history, I'm not the best in the world, but we've had, Trump will be the 47th president. We've had 45 men serve as president because Trump and Grover Cleveland were elected in non-consecutive terms. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the pantheon of presidential history, you think of the greats who are larger than life. You got George Washington, you got Thomas Jefferson, maybe Andy Jackson. Then you move in, you got Lincoln. Then you come into the end of the century with Teddy Roosevelt. Then after that, you've got the two Democrats, FDR and Truman, only because they were wartime presidents. You got JFK, you got Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump. Larger than life. and somebody like this comes along maybe once every generation. Nobody's come along like this guy. Nobody has had the degree of brilliance that he has. And they say that Teddy Roosevelt had an unnatural knack or a natural knack for connecting with people. Trump's got an ability to connect with the average working guy like no politician we've seen. Reagan is there, but even I love Ronald Reagan. And I put Reagan as larger than life, and I put Trump as larger than life. But Trump's got something that what we're now seeing that even Reagan was never able to do, and that is pulling in people from the other side who finally are saying, "I give up." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Reagan was universally hated by the Democrats, and so was Trump. And it goes back to what I said in another segment. Had it not worked out like it worked out, had they not stolen the election 4 years ago, Trump's second term would have been largely like Reagan's second term. They continue to hate and hate and hate some more. Mm-hmm. But because he's been able to overcome the steal, he's been able to overcome multiple prosecutions, he's been able to overcome so far 2 assassination attempts, he's larger than life. And they can't touch him politically.
They can't touch him.
And so therefore he's going to have something in the second term I believe that even Reagan did not have an opportunity to have. And it's because it is not a consecutive second term. It is a second term divided by what we saw the Democrats really like during the Biden years. So it's something that is a historical marvel, and we need to enjoy it while we can.
What can we find for Kamala to do? Because I kind of miss picking on her. I miss that. So is she going to try to be governor of California? I mean, what the heck?
Biden says, "We're not going to let you go anywhere, kids." Biden says, "Yeah, well, obviously she has an insatiable thirst for power." And,
but you have to be powerful to have to go on with the thirst of power.
Well, it reminds me, Richard Nixon was a brilliant guy. Kamala is not brilliant, but Nixon was vice president from California like Kamala, and Nixon turned around and ran for governor of California and lost in 1964. That's when he famously said, "You won't have Nixon to kick around anymore." Mm-hmm. If she were to run, California is a wacko place. It is one wacko place. And anything can happen. She was elected as attorney general there at one time, and there are a bunch of nutcases, and the nutcases don't seem to be diminishing out there. Although the state of California, there was about a 40% turnout for Trump, and if you look at the counties that went red, all the eastern counties, mm-hmm. Away from the coast, were all red this time. Orange County touches the coast. That was the one coastal county that was red, but. I think she might try. I think that's one thing she might try, or she may sit back and try to run again, for president.
She's just that dumb. She would try to run again.
Right. And, I kind of hope she does. A lot of us are kind of hoping Hillary would run again. Trump would have beaten her.
She's done.
No, she's done. But but the entertainment value would have been there. And this would be quite entertaining because Kamala's not going to get any better. She's not going to get any better. She's not going to get any smarter. She's not going to become more articulate. She and Biden appeared at the DNC Christmas party. I don't know if they call it Christmas party, holiday party, I guess, with these Democrats. And she was cackling again, and said some sort of, "It is because it could have been, ha, 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 ha," And, she's not changed very much. So she is an entertaining creature, that's for sure.
She's stupid. She's too stupid to change. She just, somebody needs to tell her. Someone who loves her needs to tell her and get her off the stage. And okay. Is Obama finally done? Is he finally toast?
I think so, Donna. I think Obama, he did his best, to pull it out of the hat for Kamala. He was out there campaigning. He made that, that stupid thing about the bros need to support her, and that hacked a lot of guys off. Really hacked a lot of them off. This is an age of Donald Trump. Obama never had anything close to the type of connection Trump's got. Never. Democrats supported him and were, but he had some problems. The Congress turned on him, and he's never had the ability to connect with the working guy like Trump does. Nor has he had the ability to again draw people in from the Democrat Party who, like Tulsi Gabbard, I don't agree with her on everything, or even Bobby Kennedy, but they're more old school Democrats in that they do put the country first. You know, and that's the way it was even when Reagan was president. Tip O'Neill, you know, those Democrats would put the country first. Sam Nunn, those guys who were in power at the time. It's just that we disagreed on the level of taxation, and they thought that government agencies could solve problems. We never did. So we had a difference in political philosophy, but there was never a question about whether they hated the country.
Yeah.
Scoop Jackson, the well-known senator from Washington, I mean, these were guys, and many of these were the product of World War II, Korea, or even Vietnam. But now these Democrats don't put the country first. At least the ones who have been in power don't. The ones who are leaving, I think, do, and they understand that Trump does. So Trump was the guy that went to Ohio with that oil spill. You remember? He appeared at the Army Navy game, and JD invited Daniel Penny into the box, which is a nice touch. Biden has never once, now in 8 years as so-called commander in chief, attended the Army Navy game. They don't care. They detest the military. Not that he would command a lot of respect if he went, but at least he could have tried. Never even tried. That's what the modern Democrat Party has become. That's why so many are leaving it. And whenever I post, whenever I get a chance, I always encourage Democrat friends of mine to leave the party. And I've gotten into some debates with some of them because they're more loyal to party than country. But some are leaving, some come across and voted for Trump this time because they finally saw the light. And but the philosophy these Democrats have adopted is a globalist philosophy that has been on destroying America and destroying the U.S. Constitution. We've got to come to grips with that. People say, well, why would they do this? Why would Biden keep the border open? Why would he do it? Because he wants to destroy the country. That's the reason. It's not rocket science. Your intentions are the product of your action, and it's not rocket science. And now he's trying to do everything he can to lock in money for all this green energy junk. And but I'm hoping Congress shut down as far as I can shut down right now and don't come back, and shut the government down and don't come back till January. And then we'll start all over again as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I still think that Jill and I think they voted for Trump. And they're kind of playing footsie just a little bit out there. They've had several events they've both attended. Yeah. I just noticed the friendliness of the two.
Well, I can believe at all.
They got their feelings hurt.
I know. They can vote for Trump, support Trump, and still be weak, bad leaders and crazy liberals. But they did get their feelings hurt because Nancy Pelosi pulled that coup off. And it's interesting because you have Hakeem Jeffers, I suppose Jeffers as the Democrat majority or the House minority leader. So in other words, if Democrats took over, he'd be speaker. But who's really still the puppeteer pulling all the strings? It wasn't Hakeem Jeffers that threw Biden off the ticket. It was Nancy Pelosi. In fact, Nancy Pelosi, just pulled a fast one on AOC. She's still the power broker behind it all. And the Bidens were furious about that, especially Dr. Jill. Yes, listen, the lady wears red on election day.
I'm sorry, but every woman knows this. It's not written down anywhere, but we all know. Okay, and the woman will notice what another woman wears. And if it's red, she's voting Republican. If she's wearing blue, she's voting Democrat.
And right, and of course, Biden was very quick to have Trump to the White House. You notice, and of course, within a week after the election, said, "Donald, Mr. President, it's good to have you back." Biden was smiling like a possum. And you also don't forget, he put on that MAGA hat. I know he's a lot of times he's not, the spark plugs aren't flying between the cranium. I understand that, but that wasn't an accident.
But every once in a while, the brain kind of unfreezes just for a few seconds, and you can, the real him may come out. Okay, so 3 minutes left in this segment. I can't believe how fast it goes by. Okay, so what is, in your opinion, the first thing Trump is going to do in office?
Well, I think the first thing he's going to do is there's going to be a massive deregulatory effort. And all the regulations that Biden instituted that reversed Trump's regulations will be reversed. You're going to have a massive regulatory relief, and I think you're going to have January 6 pardons probably within the first few days. And I think you're going to see those are going to be two things that will mark the first few days. Those you have J6 defendants in the gulag in Washington that haven't even been brought to trial. They've already served 4 years. Nobody got killed there other than one of ours, Ashley Babbitt. Nobody got killed. They've served time. I think you're going to see probably massive pardons for a lot of those folks and massive deregulation up front. And after that, you're going to start seeing legislation coming before the Congress. I think Elon and Vivek are going to be highly influential in going after governmental waste. And these guys are business guys. Elon, jumped into power because he was able to finance it as a business guy. And Vivek is the same way. Elon hasn't run for anything, but by golly, what he did with Twitter is absolutely amazing. He eliminates 2/3 of the workforce, and the Twitter is more effective now than ever, and they have done away largely with the woke stuff they were doing. So I think you're going to see a massive run at deregulation, a massive attack on government waste. But I think deregulation and January 6th pardons are going to be some of the first things you see coming out of the president.
Well, I can hardly wait. I'm so excited. I just hope nothing happens between now and then. I'm concerned about, a COVID-like thing possibly happening, just to try to slow him down as much as they possibly can. But
they're trying to push bird flu. Don't you believe it when they start it. Don't believe it. Don't go take the vaxes. Don't go wear the mask anymore. Don't believe the crap they try.
I just got to say, I get the flu once a year. I mean, just hand it to me. It's usually right around Christmas time to mess everything up. So Mother gets every flu shot, every COVID shot, everything. So, and I'm never sick except for that couple of weeks out of the year. And so I have the flu, and Mother says, I told you should have got that flu shot. And I said, you get flu shot, COVID, you get every shot they tell you to get, and you stay sick continuously. Right. I mean, there's never a day she doesn't go by she's not sick. And it's because she takes all this stuff, they keep pumping her up.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to my mother, stop it.
Well, your mom's like so many people. They want to believe. They want to believe the pharmaceutical fraud. We have the best medical care in the world. But you stop thinking about it. The thing that makes American medicine so amazing isn't not the good parts of pharma. Some things are good. I've got a toothache. I don't want to take an aspirin. But it is medical procedures. Whether it's knee replacements or heart replacements. It's the carpentry aspect of American medicine that's gotten so good with laser technology and the ability to do laser surgery. The pharmaceutical industry works alongside with all that. But I'm telling you, we got a problem with Big Pharma. I mean, a huge problem. And there need to be criminal prosecutions over what happened during.
They most certainly do. Fauci needs to be under a prison cell somewhere. Absolutely. Don, we got to call it a day. Thank you for being with me today. It's always such a pleasure. It's always so much fun. The hour flies by, but I'm always so glad to have you.
Merry Christmas to you, to Phil, and your wonderful listeners. And we look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you. And when I move closer now, we're going to have to meet up and meet in person and have a live show. We're going to
do it live in the studio. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Continue to have a great, great day today. See you next time.